In this video, I'm going to show you how we link our REVIT data to our Takeoff program. Specifically in this case, the units that are made in REVIT and also the REVIT families that are in REVIT, and then how it's tied to our server, and then how it retrieves the data from the server and into the Takeoff program. Okay, so before we begin, let me explain to you in our Takeoff program how this is a blank Takeoff program looks like. If you click into elevation info, this usually has all the elevations and that are assigned in REVIT, also all the units and whatnot assigned in REVIT. And once you gather the data from REVIT and put it inside the Takeoff program, this table will be populated with all the information. Okay, so right now you can kind of see that it's blank because we haven't really done anything in REVIT yet. So this is just to show you that this is a blank table. And then if you were to open, so can you guys open up the AutoCAD 2020? And in here, I'm just going to show you the UD window, or what we call it, the UD window. So if you open up AutoCAD 2020, it doesn't have to be a specific drawing. If you run the command UD, just click anywhere, you'll notice that on this left side, you'll have project details. We call this the UD window. And you'll notice here up in the upper left, you'll see the job number as well as the project name, Vans HQ Training. So you can kind of see here it's blank, right? This also will be populated once we gather the data from the REVIT. All right. So with that said, so let's move on to the REVIT side. Okay, so let's move on to the REVIT. So open up your REVIT model. You should have it open already. So in here, you'll notice that this Takeoff browser window. If you don't know where to open it, it's under the www Takeoff tab. If you don't have this installed, please contact IT or Zach or Alan and see if you can have it installed for your REVIT. Under here, you should see this button, Takeoff browser, so you can toggle on and off. So if you, for example, it'll turn it on. Okay. So once you turned on the Takeoff browser, you hit this refresh button. So it's going to take a minute to load the model. Okay. Once the Takeoff browser reads the model, you can kind of see how it populates the Takeoff browser with all the information in the model. So normally on a fresh new project, under the units tab, you wouldn't see the units IDs assigned to it, right? So you'll normally see it as a number or UXXX. So in this case, let's reset the unit numbers. So this gives you an idea. This will allow the program later to renumber our units, right? So how we would do that would be just selecting everything here on this table. So you select the first row, you hold down the shift key, or you scroll all the way down first, or just drag it down. Hold down the shift key, click the last one. Then you'll hit this button right here, find selected elements in the model. So this has selected every single unit in this model. So we're going to give it a generic name. It has to be UXXX in order for the program, to generate unit IDs or unit numbers. So just hit apply. This is globally changing every single unit from what you see here on the table with all the assigned unit IDs or unit numbers to generic one. So hit refresh. Pause here. Okay. So now you can kind of see how we renamed our units back to its generic form. So this will allow the program to help us assign the unit numbers. So once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and also explain a little bit the families. So if you click into a unit, you'll notice that each mullion, let's click into a mullion, just click in here. There you go. So these right here is what you call a family name. So just, again, we're not going to go too deep into it. So just remember this is what we call a family name. And this is going to be related to the data that's on the server and how we retrieve it from the server and populate our UD window. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so once everything is done here for the units, you can go into your www Takeoff tab, hit this button, UPD, and then we'll pause here because it's going to take a minute. Okay, we're back. So you might have noticed that there's some errors, so don't worry about it. It's not going to hinder you from going on to the next step. So once that's done, okay, and then let's hit refresh here. So this time I just won't pause it. We'll just let it load naturally. So while we wait for it to load, you're going to see real soon that it's going to assign all the unit numbers on this table. See? There you go. Right. Now it gave us all the unit numbers. It assigned the unit numbers. So the unit numbers are unique based on the shape of the unit, the size of it, the families around it, the horizontals, the generic models, and whatnot. That's how the program kind of reads it to assign different unit numbers. So with that said, let's go into, let's minimize our REVIT, and I'll show you, in this case, the Takeoff Program side now. So if you click in elevation info, now you see here you have all the information that was inside the model populated inside your Takeoff Program now. From the elevations for REVIT, and these are all the units, right? All the way. So it populated this table. Right. It also populated many other tables as well. So let's look into your UD window now. So if you go to your CAD and you shouldn't have to hit UD anymore, it should be docked on your left side or up. But just in case you forgot, let's do UD again. Hit that. It should be over to your left. You may think it's blank, but it's not. You just have to hit the refresh button. Boom. So you kind of see here how it populated all the data in here, right? This is your UD window. So you can kind of see how REVIT resource, this is your REVIT family name that I kind of briefly mentioned earlier, right? And then in here, you can kind of see it has this thing called part use, which I'll explain later. And then in here, you have the part number, which is actually the actual part number, the part related to the family, right? So let me kind of go into how everything kind of links together. So when you run UPD, the REVIT, the program would look into our server. So if you run ACAD parts on CAD, so this is all the data that we have generated through many years, and we placed on our server for reuse. Right. You can kind of see how it has REVIT resource and detail number. So here, how the program works is it will look at your REVIT model and whatever family you have in your REVIT model, that's being used. It will look into the server and see if there's a correlating REVIT family, correlating data that's generated for it. So we can take a look at a typical horizontal. So if you look over here, 21, 26, so you can see how it's perfect. There is a data here, so it grabs it from this window, kind of like, it looks very similar to the UD window, and then populates your UD window with the correlating data. Now you may wonder, what if you don't have the family set on the server? What's going to happen now, right? So I will explain that to you next in the next video, talking about the intersection report.